the SPE. My name is Natalia Frimpong, and I will be your moderator for this session titled Career Guide Ghana's oil and gas industry. Of this session, let's look at the objectives of this session. So we are going to look at the Ghana's oil and gas industry overview. We are going to look at the industry overview, and then we will look at some demanding skills that will help us for professional development, and then we will look at the practical career aspects where our speakers will let us know some professional development as well. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's take note of these 3 points. Okay, so we'll encourage you all to kindly mute your microphones. And in case you have any question, please use the raise hand icon, or you can also use the chat box as well. So let's please take note of these 3 points for a successful discussion. All right, so we'll take our icebreaker. Get ready for the icebreaker, and don't forget that if you get all correct, you are going away with the biggest surprise ever. Okay, the icebreaker. So let's start the question 1. Question 1. Who is the current SPE Ghana president? Who is the current SPE Ghana president? You can put your answers in the chat box. Who is the current SPE Ghana president? Okay. The current SPE Ghana president. Yeah, who is helping me with that? Okay, so Rhoda, yeah, I see you. Yeah, you can give the answer. Rhoda Bafo. Okay, Christian, you can put your answer in the chat box. Okay. Samuel Tete says Derek. Adam Kwesiku say Christian Bonnie says Shina Owusu answer. Okay. Shina Owusu answer. Oh wow. Okay. Okay, so let's check it out. The current SPE Ghana president is Engineer Derek. Engineer Derek Lise is our current Ghana president. Thank you very much for most chapters. Which country has the most chapters in the Africa region? Africa region have Nigeria, Benin, Togo, South Africa. Which country? You can put your answers in the chat box. Who is helping us with that? Christian Bonnie. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, Joshua says Nigeria. Okay, who else? Who else? The Africa region with the most chapters. I like how you guys are participating. So impressive. Okay, Emmanuel says Nigeria. Okay, let's check it out. The country with the most chapters. Wow, it's Nigeria. Thank you all. Okay, so let's look at the last question. Says mention any of those chapters that you know. Mention any of those chapters that you know. Mention any of those chapters that you know. The country with the most chapters in the Africa region is Nigeria. And then we are asking any of those chapters. Okay, who is helping with that? Any of those chapters? Benin City chapter. Okay, from Christians, Bonnie, he says Benin City chapter. Benin City chapter. Okay. Lagos section in Lagos. Wow. Okay. Geographic sections and student chapter from Caleb. Wow. That was brilliant. University of Ibadan or Ibadan. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Chapter. Wow. I like how you are participating. Okay. Who else? Who else has different option? Okay, so let's check it out. Okay. So I have Lagos, Port Harcourt, and the Benin is also correct. Ibadan or Ibadan is also correct. Okay, so thank you all for participating. I hope it continues like this so that this session will be so interesting. All right, without wasting much time, we'll move on to the okay. Before that, let's check the program outline. So we'll deal with the welcome and introduction, the opening address, first presentation, second presentation, and then we have the cross questioning, and then the question and answers where my audience comes in, and then you have to put all your questions down so that when it's with this part, you can also share your contributions and suggestions. And then we will take a feedback survey, so make sure to take part, and then the vote of thanks. Okay, so we'll move on to the opening address. And to do as the Anna, let's invite Akosia Bando from the career guide team. We will invite Akosia Bando from the career guide team to help us with the opening address. Akosia, please, are you there?
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Okay, I can go on from there. The floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you. Natalia, and thank you everyone for joining in today. It's such a pleasure to see all of you being able to join in. And I'm excited for this webinar and for the opportunity to even get to listen to seasoned personnel, Engineer Daniel, and then hello, can you hear me? Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. So thanks to everybody for joining in. Thanks to Engineer Daniel and Engineer Anthony for making the time to join us and to be a part of the session. I can assure all of you that you would learn a lot from this session. Any questions that you have concerning the oil and gas industry, just bring it into this session, and I'm very much sure that the seasoned personnel, Engineer Anthony and Engineer Daniel, would be of great help to all of us. So let's open up and bring on the questions, and let's be attentive to whatever they have to offer today. So thank you all for joining once again. Over to you, Natalia.
All right, Akosia, thank you very much. Okay, so we will continue. And then introduce our first speaker. Okay, so our first speaker is Engineer Anthony Ade, and he is a senior project manager with the Integrated Solutions segment in Baker Hughes across sub-Saharan Africa. He has been with Baker Hughes for 16 years and has worked on diverse projects. Engineer is also, this also spans from oil and gas to geothermal projects. And then he began his career as a completions field engineer in 2009. Okay, Engineer Ade, please, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
Engineer Tony.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes,
right.
please.
Excellent.
Kindly present yourself to us.
All right. Thanks, Natalia. Thanks, Akosia, for that. And thanks everyone for your time. And I also want to thank my co-engineer who will be presenting this afternoon over here. If you permit me, I would just like to share my screen a bit with you if you are okay with that. So I'm just trying to share my screen. If you don't mind, please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Hello?
No, your
please.
screen is not yet.
Not yet.
Oh. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, please. We can see it now.
Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right. Okay. Yeah. Can you see the career guidance to oil and gas? Is that what you're seeing on the screen?
Yes, Engineer. Can see that.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Thanks so much, and thank you all for your time. Let me see if my camera can work as well. So it's okay to put a face to the name. Just a minute, let me just try and work around this camera we have. Okay. All right, let me know if you can see the screen as well. The video is coming now. And then should be able to share the screen. All right, are you able to see the presentation now? Hello? All right. So good day, everyone, and trust we are good. Can you hear me? I just want to confirm if y'all can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right, thanks. Okay, so I'll just the introduction of me has been done already, so I don't need to hit much on that. I'll just move straight to what we're talking about this afternoon. So we're looking at actually we're looking at career guidance to Ghana's oil and gas industry, and then this opportunity is for students and young graduates. So I said earlier on, I'm Anthony Ade. I just want to quickly brief us a bit about the operators we have and then the service companies. You know, some people find it a bit difficult to differentiate between the operators and then the service companies we have within the industry. And we should know that there are two companies which work here. So the operators are people like the likes of Talo, the ENI, the Springfields, the Pecan Energy, the Media, the GMPC, Exploco, the Amni, and then also we have the OPC. Even actually the OPC, I was just told today by one of my colleagues, and we still have a lot more. I mean, out of Ghana, we have the likes of the Total, the Shell. I'm sure Daniel will also give you more about those in the Middle East, in the Gulf. There's the Aramco's. He'll give you a lot more on those. Just streamlining it to those we have here. We have the likes of the Perenco, Morel, and Prom. So there are lots of operators we have that work in the oil industry. Then we have the likes of the service companies, which are the people like Baker Hughes, Schlumberger, Halliburton. We have Expro, Weatherford, Chemsolve, Technip FMC, ChampionX, NOV, Amaja Oilfield Services, and we still have a lot more service companies which work within this space. So it's not just it's not when we say oil and gas company, it's not just one size fit or one jacket company that we're looking at. We have a lot of companies that make up the operators and the service companies. Now, going straight to just a bit on the oil and gas um, in Ghana. The contribution of oil and gas in Ghana has been tremendous. You see that actually this oil and gas started sometime in 2007, but it became bigger in 2008 when a lot of focus was on Talo. When Talo entered the oil field sector in Ghana, and then they started doing the drilling job in Ghana, you know. So we had a lot of more engineers, people recruited into the oil and gas industry in Ghana. And then nonetheless, we realized that the Ghana's petroleum revenue, again, what I have on the screen, is set up at 1.35 billion in 2024. And then that's about almost 28% increment from 1.06 billion in 2023. So year in, year out, there's been increase and surge in the revenue gotten from petroleum industry. So that means that petroleum industry in Ghana is something that is booming or doing very well. And then it also contributes to our GDP of the country. So it's really doing well, and it's looking like sometime in 2029 we'll be having approximately 859, let's say about 860 US million as GDP contribution from the oil and gas sector. I mean, so this is quite something which is good and helpful for the country. Now, our main discussion is looking at our career opportunities within this, and then you know, we always look at SP, the Society of Petroleum Engineers. It's not just limited to engineers, right? There are a couple of opportunities in there for each and every one. So Is someone speaking? I can hear noise at the background. If you can please mute your phone if you are not talking. Right. So when we look at the oil and gas industry in Ghana or globally, globally, the career opportunities span across from engineering to geosciences and then to other opportunities we have. Like we have roles like petroleum engineering role, we have the drilling engineer role, reservoir engineer, chemical engineer, subsea completions, production engineer. For the geosciences, we have geologists, geophysicists, and then we also look at petroleum geologists, and then we have other roles within the industry, which spans from sales, commercials, operations management, project management, finance, and then facility, warehouse, yards. So there are lots of roles that come up within the sector, which is opportunity for everyone to grab or take hold of when being presented to us. And we're looking at education skills and skills required we have for the oil and gas. It's nothing different from whatever we've been doing in other careers or um, in other job opportunities we have or in other jobs we have. So it's just like it's quite streamlined to so compare someone working in the energy sector or VRA to someone in the oil and gas, they are all in the energy sector. So you should know that requirements are almost literally the same. Now, someone working in somewhere like TOR, which is it's also an energy sector, oil and gas is energy. I want to take something a bit different. Let's say someone working in like um, let's say probably in the automobile industry, someone working in Toyota or Nissan, VW, Silver Star, those places. I mean, so there are certain skills required for those jobs there. And then you look at oil and gas, there are also certain skills required. And we're looking at engineering skills as kind of one of the biggest roles or biggest skills required for oil and gas sector because most of the people you're working with are going to be engineers. So nonetheless, you'll be having people from with different disciplines in there that you'll be working with. So, but literally when you're on the field, literally all the people you're working with are engineers who have, excuse me, engineering background, geosciences, and then sciences. When we say sciences degree, you know, people who have degrees probably in mathematics, chemistry, physics. I mean, all those people too are also working in the industry. They also within the industry, business and management, so business administration, all these people, they also working within the industry. So it's not strictly limited to engineers. So it's a diverse work or job opportunity that is out there for us. So you take someone who is done business admin, this would be HR, like my current HR in the whole of SSA is an engineer. He used to be a food engineer in completions and he's now an HR. So there's an engineer who's gone into an HR. We have legal people. We have people who have done law, because you need to have legal and compliance team. You have HR team. So business administration people are also required within the scope. Then you talk of soft skills. So soft skills is something which is very, very inevitable in every scope of work. Even as a teacher, you need to have soft skills, emotional intelligence. You need to know the people you are working with, be able to work with them, be able to cope with them, be able to understand their needs, be able to make sure that you meet them halfway. Because if you're working with people that you don't understand, you can't communicate well with them, you can't work with them as a team, you can't feel what they feel, especially if you're a leader, then there's a problem, there's going to be a gap, there's going to be friction, there's going to be situations where things will not go on well. So you have to make sure that you release yourself to understand the people you are working with and make sure that there is good communication with the team. There is learning curve because when you have good communication, you have teamwork, there are always opportunities for you to learn where you are able to pass on learning to your team. You're able to adapt learning, adapt skills from team members, and also ensure that these are incorporated in subsequent opportunities or subsequent tasks. So teamwork is really important in this communication, effective communication. So it's part, I was telling some of my friends a few days ago that teamwork, effective communication is really very important because it helps you to be able to communicate well with your team members. You know what they require. You pass your message across well. You are able. So we learned com skills in school, but sometimes we feel they are literally giving us trouble, causing us to learn some skills and co. But that's not the case. We need to make sure that we are able to translate these com skills we've learned into a relatable workplace. So you are able to communicate. You are able to pass across your message. You're able to solve problems with your team because without you communicating well, you can't really have problems being solved. Then we look at career. Oh, sorry. Growth and development. So I always tell my engineers, my mentees, my young engineers I work with at workplace that you own your own career, and it's one thing our company always makes pass across to us. Your career is in your own hands because most of the time people tend to feel like, okay, I need to be pushed by someone. You know, it's just like you are growing into adulthood, and you realize that at certain stages in life, like we start school in basic school, we are with our parents. In secondary school, sometimes some of us are boarders, some are day students. So you realize that when you become boarder, you become a bit independent. You start doing certain things on your own, taking care of yourself. You get to university, now you don't have anyone there. You are there taking care of yourself, becoming independent. Your life is in your own hands. You need to manage yourself and ensure that you achieve something for yourself. You have growth in your life, in your schooling. So the same way in your career, your growth depends on you. Your career depends on how you manage and grow yourself. Because you can choose to be idle and just be stagnant at one place, and you can choose to grow yourself and improve yourself on. So some of the things we do is internship. You know, there there are some times that the school might not require you to do internship, but you have a vacation. It's best for you to request to ask, oh, can I have a letter to go and do internship? Just open letter so that you can take to any industry or any company who might be able to take you up for internship. Do short courses yourself. You know, sometimes you see through LinkedIn, you see that there are some short courses that you can do there, which are free courses. Why not do them? Even there are some courses that are being done all over. You do them. Project management course, you do them. Courses that are related to finance for non-finance, you do them. You know, just do some short courses to boost yourself out. Continuous learning. Learning is something that is continuously going on. Is something is that is a change in our life that we always have going on. So you need to keep on learning. You need to keep on growing yourself, updating yourself, networking. You need to make sure that you network yourself because I was hearing in one person's talk one of this recently that networking is also net worth. So the more you have a network, it also relates to your net worth because you have connections, you have people who can link you, who have relatable incidents or relatable situations or relatable skills as what you require, who can recommend you. So you need to make sure that you network and network properly. You seek mentorship program like people are attending this presentation, people are attending other presentation and other trainings. You seek mentorship. You can approach people and say, oh, can you be my mentor? Can you mentor me? Can you teach me? You know, it doesn't take anything out of you to ask someone to train you, to mentor you. If the person is willing to help, fine. If the person is not willing to help, probably you look for someone else. Make sure you are mentored because at every point you have someone who is a bit higher than you, who understands the dynamics of the business than you, who can always assist and help you to grow and achieve whatever you want to achieve. You know, and also in our for engineers, for instance, you have Ghana Institution of Engineers. How many of us really go back to write the exams? How many of us go back to register with them? So you need to do this as it's hot. You come back from school, you do it, and it helps you to also it opens your horizon, lets you understand the scope and what is required of engineers in the country. So there are lots of things out there that you can use to grow and develop yourself. And you do this, you see that you are growing, you are increasing, you are acquiring more knowledge, and you are making yourself a lot more marketable and a lot more relatable to the industry. I think that's all I have for us this morning. So I'll just get back to Natalia, and Daniel can also give us a bit more. Natalia, back to you. Daniel. Probably Daniel will just take it out from there.
Wow. That was truly mind-blowing. Thank you very much, Engineer Anthony. That was so awesome for letting us know certain things that will help us in this industry. We thank you very much. Okay, without wasting much time, let's move on to Engineer. Engineer Anthony, will come back to you after Engineer Daniel.
No problem.
Okay, so allow me to share my screen.
I think Engineer Anthony could unshare his screen so that I would be able to do mine.
Okay. Okay, so
I was talking at the back. I was saying that Dan, if you can present it, will just go ahead and unshare mine.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying
Yeah.
to share my screen now.
Yes,
Although I'm
please.
trying to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Good afternoon to every one of us. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. That was an insightful presentation by Engineer Anthony. He has said some of my points, so when I get to those points, I will just skip over them. And I'm just coming to complement some of the things he says and then to add a little bit more so that it will be beneficial for every one of us. And so one of the thematic question that is always on our mind anytime we are discussing the concept of a career and a job. Many people are not able to situate the difference. And some people can actually be in a job for up to 10, 15 years and have no career plan. And so for us to be able to situate that, we must have a clear understanding what a career is. That's why it's a career guide. So you understand what the career guide is. A career is something that is long term. So it's evolving. It's not static. It's not where you start, that's where you continue. You would evolve in the role, and it's shaped around your personal goals and some of the trends that is happening in the industry. And so you studied chemical engineering, you studied materials engineering. That is your initial startup. But when you get into the industry, it's the journey evolves, as well as you begin to learn and see different trends and things that are aligned with your own personal goals, and then you begin to gear towards those angles. One of the things that is very some years ago, career were very linear, But in this age, career is not that linear. So these are some of the definitions of careers that you need to, have at the tips of your finger. Career is no longer linear. The tendency that you will do one same thing for the rest of your life is not very exact. Your roles will change. You may still be an engineer, but you'll be performing various roles, and you might even grow into a larger perspective of using your engineering skills to solve a different problem altogether. And it is more reliant on your personal reinvention, which means that you would have to reinvent your own self as you go along, and it is focused on your purpose, what you intend to do based on how the trends of the industry is moving along. Now, this is where many people now say, okay, so if this is how a career is supposed to be, I need a job to do a career. That's true. You need to find a job. And in finding a job, it is a specific role, like you are assets integrity engineer for a firm, or you are working in operations team as a process operations engineer, or as a utilities operations engineer, or you are working with maintenance department. We'll get into that. Those are specific roles that you are doing. That is a job. But the job that you are doing must fit into the larger career plan, which is a long-term evolving journey, which is shaped around your personal ambitions and the industry trends that is happening. Now, when you go to work, you'll be given assignments to do at work. If it is operations, you are monitoring equipment. When there is emergencies, you make sure that all equipment are back on stream. You ensure that all parameters are within operational envelope. All of these things are your defined tasks that you are doing in your job role. Your career doesn't have a job task. Your career is a bigger space, which is more around your purpose, your vision, and then the job is what you're actually doing, more like your mission. Then it's these days, jobs are becoming more technology integrated and highly dynamic in the sense that the way we do job is changing. And so while a few years ago, you just bring your head and your pen to work, these days, there are a lot of technology integrating into the way we do work. Like, for example, we are doing this presentation, probably 6-7 years ago, we would have to hire a hall and do this presentation. But the whole concept has been dissolved using technology that I can sit behind the screen and have this communication with you. And we'll get to talk more about this technology integration into our workspace. And it is vulnerable to automation, which means that day in and day out, some part of the job will become extinct, while some will be new ones will be created as a result of collapsing of several roles and expanding of other roles. And this is why you need to reskill and upskill. So if you are not upskilling and reskilling, you can be laid off. That is the job that you are doing, and that can affect your career goal. And so in order to keep your career going, you will need to reskill and upskill to make sure that you are at par with the direction you are going in your career. But do not forget that careers are non-linear. And so it can change at any point in time, depending on what the opportunity as well as the industry trends that is happening. Your job always feeds into your career. So what you are doing now should have a pivot in where you are going in the future. Now, let's discuss the career trends that's happening around the world and how we can situate ourselves around it. Now, before you define a career for yourself, the first thing is you need to perform a SWOT analysis of your own personal self. If you are in the university or you are a freshman in the world of work, or you are a young engineer, one of the things that you would like to keep doing frequently is identifying the areas that you are very good at, whether it's in school or at work, that is areas that when they give you an assignment to do, your action and your motivation and your intuition to solve that problem is as faster than if you were given other assignments. These are areas to help you understand your strengths and your disciplines where you can actually study chemical engineering and still not find the strength to work with equipment, heat exchangers, and columns and stuff like that. But you might be less to do with physical stuff where you are doing more of analysis and analytical thinking. So you must define your own strength and your own ability, and you pair that your strength with a specific career area where Engineer Anthony also mentioned some, and I'll also throw more light on that. Then, now that you have found the career area where you want to work, then you can now narrow down into the job family and find one particular job that you can do at a go. And depending on how skills are evolving these days, you might hop on several job roles depending on how you hone your top skills. We'll discuss the top skills and as well as the networking part where you must, these days, when we say networking, we are not just talking about targeting some top officials and bombarding them with messages. No, we are talking about engaging those who are doing well in the industry and are ahead of you, as well as those who are just around you, like your teammates, because sometimes your teammates can be best to identify your weaknesses and your flaws, or might be able to also point you to some opportunities that can be beneficial to you. And so when we say networking, it's not just focusing on people vertically, but you must also engage with colleagues horizontally. Now, when you are job hunting in 2025, one of the key things you need to put in your mind is that the fact that you have done a job before gives you a leverage of 35% when you are applying for a job. Once you have done that specific job role that they are advertising, if you have done it before, it gives you a leverage of about 35%. Now, in some cases where you don't have the experience, but maybe it's a job role where you are bringing on a new skill or a new technology, which for example, I told you that we are in an age where they are collapsing skills and they are expanding new job roles. And so they might be expanding a new job role. I heard of a new job role a few days ago. I was listening to the news and someone calls himself digital architecture for a particular bank. And I found that very interesting that he has a job role titled digital architecture. And what does he do? He designs digital platforms for the bank to integrate into their financial solutions. And so this is a role that probably 5 years ago did not exist. Now, if they were going to be bringing him on board, 5 years ago, there was no role as digital architecture. But now there's a role as digital architecture. And the same thing is happening in the oil and gas industry, where specific roles are expanding. And if you have those skills, you can be able to come in to do something new. And if you're coming in with something new, it means that it already puts you about 35% ahead. So either you are coming with experience or you are coming in with something new or to solve a specific problem, then you are already ahead about 35%. Then you have the relevant education and relevant skills. The relevant education is, for example, if in the job description, they said you must have BSc engineering, BSc petroleum, BSc mechanical, BSc electrical. These relevant ones already put you ahead. And then the particular skills, for example, ability to do this, ability to do that, all of those things they enumerate in the job description, you already find yourself capable of doing them. These put you about 35%. And if you have these two already, you are heading around 70%. However, being recommended for a job role also gives you a higher leverage as much as coming in with a new skill to solve a problem. And so knowing how to leverage on individual vertically as well as horizontally can put you ahead. And it's one of the key things I've come to realize, that most of the jobs that are being advertised are highly dependent on you being recommended by someone on the team or in the firm or someone close to the sourcing team. Also, your CV, and the interview, how you present your CV. You don't just jump up. Well, these days, if you go online, there are a lot of templates which you can edit to suit the kind of CV that befits the particular role that you're looking for. And do not use one particular CV to apply for several job roles. You should be able to fine-tune your CV to suit each particular role that you are looking for, and your personality and outlook. Now, let me tell you this. As awkward as it may seem, you might be very intelligent, have the experience, be bringing on something new, have relevant education, and actually be recommended. But then your personality and your outlook at the interview can actually dismiss you. And it's a very key thing. And so taking care of your personality, your spoken words, the way you go about answering questions, the way you throw your hands, the way you look into people's eyes, your confidence level, the kind of clothes you wear, all of these things put together can actually make you eligible for a role or not. Because oftentimes people have been dismissed simply because they do not look like the people who can handle the role, simply just because they do not look like. And that might be very disheartening. So let's zoom into the specific job areas that are out there on the spectrum. Now, when we say job areas, industry areas, Engineer Ade also spoke about these areas. Now, I'm looking at it both from upstream all the way to downstream. And so we have the exploration and extraction companies, that's the E&P companies, who are focused more on exploration and extraction. We have those in the midstream who are doing gas processing. We have downstream, which focuses on petroleum processing and supply. Then we have the EPC companies, which are involved in engineering, procurement, and construction of engineering facilities, or energy facilities like gas plants, refinery, rig, and all of those things. You could find areas like storage and supply and transportation industry, where they transport petroleum products across the world, or service companies as Engineer Ade enlisted. And then you could find regulatory industry like your MPA, your PC, Petroleum Commission, and the Energy Commission, Mineral Commission. All these are areas where you can identify a skill, you can identify an area that suits your strength and discipline. And so, oh, I like the concept of exploration and extraction, so I want to start working for these kind of things. Or you like the concept of refining. And one of the things I must let you know is that your degree is just an open door, or let me say it's a master key which can open any door. It depends on you, on how you use the key. You are not limited by your degree. After 2025, I can give you that assurance. You are not limited by the degree you hold. We'll go further to talk about that. Let's look at the career family. So now that you've identified the areas, when we look into these areas, any of these areas, let me go back again. Sorry from the truncation of my screen. Oh, forgive me. Now, any of these areas I have enlisted here would all need these particular career families. So whether it's E&P, refining, or it is gas processing, or EPC, or what is it called? Regulatory or service companies, when you enter there, you would find roles as administration, maintenance and reliability, safety and risks, engineering, production and operations, trading and commercial, projects, procurement and contracting. And if you look at it, there are various breakdown job roles. So now these are the jobs where you find you can be working in accounting or auditing in an oil and gas firm, or you can be a procurement engineer in an oil and gas firm, or you could be a cost control engineer, or you could be an HSC engineer, a rigs engineer, a process operations superintendent, a subsea, or a corrosion engineer, an inspection engineer. All of these things are job roles that are within the area that you are working in. Now, also, legal and compliance. Do not think that legal and compliance is not engineering, and so they do not factor into the concept of oil and gas. Once we say oil and gas industry, it's an and when we go forward, I'll let you understand how in this day and age, people will start with a first degree in engineering, but end up as the legal representative of the organization. And so either you are in legal compliance, you are in IT, or you are in sustainability, or you are in business operations analysis, or you are in technical support. Any of these roles are roles that are within any of the industry areas we aforementioned. Now, this is the great area that I want to talk about, which is the work skills dynamics. Now, when we talk about work skills dynamics, we are referring to how work is being done and the changing structures of our workspace. So you wake up and you go to work every morning. But as you go to work every morning over the next few years, a lot of things are changing. In fact, if you go back 5 years ago and we come back to today, there's been a lot of changes in the way we conduct work. And that's the work dynamics, how work is changing every day, especially the way we even 10 or 20 years ago, we'll be writing memos. But this day and age, nobody is writing a memo. We'll send an email, which is a memo. But in 20 years ago, they would print a memo and supply it to every department. And if you are going to be getting a memo from whoever, they will type it and send it to you. But these days, you get it as an email. All of these things are the work patterns and structures that are changing in the environmental structure. They might bring in one equipment, and now the way you do work around that equipment changes. For example, I've worked with a crude heater that was designed in 1980 and a crude heater designed in 2016 and a crude heater designed in 2018. Now, any of these crude heaters come with their own way of working. However, the fundamental basis of heat management within a crude heater, the new introductions of safety measures that have been put into these equipment have changed the way you go about operating the equipment as opposed to doing that with, let's say, the 1980 crude heater. Now, the skill dynamics that is required to operate in this current day oil and gas industry is shifting towards a combination of technical skill, of technical expertise for problem solving. And so we are combining skills. And I did this presentation in 2023, and the focus was on cross-functional skills, where you have an engineer who also has, let's say, an MBA in finance, and this combination of skills help him to perform very well. Or I have a friend who is a medical doctor and is also a certified HSC professional. These two are amalgamation of skills help him to deliver his job well. I have an engineer who also has been called to the bar. These change the dynamics of the way they do their work. Now, in 2025, forgive me, my screen. Now, in 2025, the dynamic is now around career agility. What is career agility? It has to do with your individual resolute to fit, adapt, and thrive in any circumstances, which means that today you can be working in a particular role or you might get into a company and then they say, okay, go to the operations team, go and assist in the operations area, and then you are a process operation or production engineer, and you are doing your work, and 3 years down the line, a new role opens up, or you are being redirected to go into technical audits. And a few years later, they say, okay, go and handle commercial analysis. And from just process operations, you find yourself in commercial analysis, where you are not just using one skill, but all the skills. Because when you were in technical audit, you were auditing operations, you were auditing products, you were auditing the risk assessment, you were auditing everything. Now you come to commercial, now you understand why they were auditing everything. Now you have a clear understanding. And it's changing. So you can be in one organization or several organizations with the set of skills that you have. It allows you to strive, adapt. I used to work in process operations where I was in a crude distillating and vacuum distillating units. And one day I had a call from my boss and says, go to the utilities unit and go and help them there. So from one moment where I'm looking at analysis of product that has come in, the next day I'm looking at analysis of water, analysis of steam. I'm looking at control of corrosion among in the cooling water. This whole thing has changed, but then it's the same set of skills and the same intelligence that I'm bringing on board. But then when I went there, I didn't slack because I had the power to shift, to adapt, and to thrive. That is what career agility means. And like any career, it is non-linear. And so someone can start with a bachelor in business administration or finance and then become a manager for a commercial manager for oil and gas firm. Or someone can start as a field service engineer. These illustrations I'm giving are actually true illustrations. Yesterday I visited a friend who started as a field service engineer and is now a sales manager for an industrial manufacturing firm. So the dynamic is changing. And in 2025, one of the key things is career agility. But you cannot attain career agility if you don't have cross-functional skills. So you see, as the year is improving, the particular skill that is mostly needed is as a result or is a cumulative of growth in the career progression in the years. 2025, if you are coming into the workspace, one of the key things you must bring along is you must be analytical. In other words, you must be able to take on bigger tasks, break it down to smaller units, and solve them. You must be able to be resilient because the workspace can be toxic in some cases, can be unfriendly in some cases, but then you are able to stay in whatever environment it is with that mental agility. You are flexible. You are not that kind of person that if your work requires you to travel, you say, I cannot travel. If your work requires you to stay late in the night, you say, I can't stay. If your work requires you to move from an 8-hour shift to a 12-hour shift, you say this is too much. You must be flexible, you must be agile, and you must have personal leadership. You must have that personal aura that sounds leadership, as well as you must have a social influence in the sense that you must also be able to influence other people. In today's age, if you go on social media, everybody is having a page talking about something. Now, you may not necessarily need to go and create a page to talk about something, but you should have a voice that speaks to a thematic area within your workspace, and you are known for it. And so in your workspace, when we need somebody to do this, everybody can point out to you because you have that social influence backed by a social voice, backed by a personal leadership. And you must not forget that we live in an age of AI as well as big data application. And so you must be able to apply data. Do not be carried or be mesmerized by any of these generative AI. They are tools. They are not fancy things. Most of you, when I'm on social media, you see people creating images and stuff. For you as an engineer, what you use AI for goes way beyond creating an image. I have used an AI to solve an optimization problem within a short period of time. I was trying to solve something and it was a logic problem and I couldn't concentrate to arrange the logic. And so I just wrote the prompts, gave it to AI, and AI arranged the logic according to the timing, the sequence of operating, and I just put it into the system and it worked for me. I was shocked to myself that I could achieve that within a very short time. That is how, as an engineer, you could be thinking of using generative AI. You should go past the concept of using it to just generate images. And then you must have an emotional balance because in the workspace, it is a competition, whether you like it or not. Everybody is aiming to be the best. Everybody is aiming to be recognized as the best. And so you must know how to balance your emotion. You must know when to talk, when to keep quiet, when to be gleeful, when to suppress your emotions. When people will definitely set you up for anger, people will definitely step on your toes, but you must be able to know how to request for the things that are right and do the right things. I give you an example of when I was supposed to supervise a welding when I was in process operations for a heat exchanger in a live plant. After conducting the risk assessment, we could go ahead and do it because we had blinded 2 areas and we could go ahead and do the welding. However, the operations excellence team said that they could not vouch for us to do the welding. And so I was stuck between the project director, the operations excellence team, and me being the operations supervisor. How do I go ahead and do this? But through emotional intelligence, knowing how to communicate my ideas to them and not being overt over their own opinions, still earned me the right to go ahead, do the welding in a safe manner, and everything was on. We carried on, resumed operations. So emotional intelligence is very necessary in today's workspace. So thank you very much for this webinar, and I look forward to connecting with any of you, either on my social media or through my email. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Opon. That was truly impressive. Okay. From Engineer Anthony, we were able to know some operators and then service companies. And also he made it known to us that the oil and gas industry is not only for engineering or petroleum engineers. He also mentioned the sciences, the business management, and we were very happy. I'm sure my audience also will enjoy that. And then Engineer Opon, wow, career and job. He says careers can change at any time, so we should also learn how to adapt. Yeah, we should learn how to adapt and also be flexible in wherever we find ourselves. And then also the top skills as well, AI, analytical thinking. Wow, we are very grateful for such an insightful session from our speakers, and I hope you all enjoy this. So let's get ready for the cross-questioning and also the questioning. As in case you have any question, kindly put it into the chat box. Kindly put all your questions into the chat box. Okay. So I can see a question in the chat box. Our first question from Jonas. Okay, so my speakers, Engineer Tony and Engineer Daniel. The first question says, from Jonas, says, what advice would you give to someone without any background in oil and gas or chemistry or any related field, but would like to get into the oil and gas space? He says the background is data analytics, yes, and then currently pursuing MSc Geoinfo. Jonas is asking our speakers the advice, the oil and gas industry too. Yeah. So my noble speakers, over to you. Engineer Tony and Engineer Opon, any of you can also answer for us.
Hello, is Engineer Adib there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. Oh, I thought because you were unmuted, so you might go first, but that's fine. Yeah. So to Jonas, right? As I alluded in my initial presentation, also Engineer Daniel also mentioned as well that it's the industry is open to everyone. And then Engineer Daniel even went further to elaborate on more opportunities within. He elaborated on the space that's upstream, downstream. So you have the transport system. So everywhere, literally all these industries need IT personnel. So it's for you to position yourself and then continue to look out for jobs within that space. Again, it's not just in IT that you can work in. So there are other roles you could work even in the lab because we have people working in the lab, but because your core competency is in IT and that's where you have built yourself, that's where you are upgrading yourself in. You might be looking out for jobs within the space in IT. So you obviously get, but release yourself or make yourself available to opportunities that come within the space, apply, and you surely get what fits you. So know that it's not just for engineers. And as we mentioned earlier on that we have HR, we have other roles within the space. So you surely have something to do there. And if someone also responded to you, Abbas responded to you even on the chat. I think Engineer Point, if you have more to add to that.
Okay. Thank you, Engineer Ade, for your contribution. I think you've said it perfectly. You shouldn't box yourself, and then you should open up your mind to the various opportunities that are available, not just even in IT.
All right. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a question, don't forget to put it into the chat box. Okay, so I will ask my first question. Engineer Tony Ade, okay. So regarding to what our brother asked and also what you said about some educations and skills required, do you think there are there are any qualifications or certifications that are most valued by employers in the oil and gas sector? Engineer Tony, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I heard you. I was trying to unmute myself. So when you ask of certificates that are most valued in the oil and gas sector, if it depends on the grade or the level in which you are coming in. So someone like myself, if I'm going to Engineer Pond's company, for instance, there are some certificates, there are some things they are looking out for based on my experience, right? So they will ask for those, they'll look out for those. If I say, okay, they advertise a role for project manager for a big project, and then I apply for it. They'll about me ask for my background and then also look out for my project management certificates and codes. So it depends on that. But now you coming as an entry level. For me, I always tell young engineers coming in as entry level that come with an open-minded, come with your certificate, come as how you are, whatever certificate you have acquired, because now you go and do something like NEBOSH, spend a lot of money. I have a guy, so I tell you a quick story. I have a guy who came to me, said, oh, he was doing law and then he changed his mind. He went to do NEBOSH, a lot of courses in HSAE. And I said, he's looking for a job. I said, dude, this is a bit difficult because you've not practiced anything in safety before. You've just gotten the classroom experience. So it's difficult for a company to hire you, though you have all the certificates. So as a fresh graduate coming out, simply put, whatever you have acquired, just leave it out for you to apply for a job. If you have all those extra safety courses, it's a plus for you. but there is not necessary for you to have Boziet, Nebos, and Co. because most of the companies, when they hire you, they do the Boziet for you. Apart from the contractor company, when they are taking as a contractor, they will request that you should have Boziet before you come. But personally, I don't want you to go and waste money to go and do Boziet. Boziet expires after every 3 years. You do Boziet, then at the end of the day, you don't have a job, and 3 years expires, and you be like, oh, Engineer Tony and Engineer Pon say you should do Boziet, and then now you've done it, you don't have a job, and they didn't take you. No, when a company hires you, they'll do Boziet for you. If they need you to do it, they'll tell you to do it. So just beef yourself up. When you see online courses that are free, some that you can pay for and do, just do it. That there's no cast on stone courses for you to do to be able to get such roles. Engineer Paul, you want to add something more?
I couldn't say anything less. I must be, I mean, you hit the nail directly on the hammer directly on the nail. So thank you for your contribution.
All right. So, Engineer Upon, you were also talking about networking. I remember you said some of the students or young professionals, or they sometimes bombard some top professionals with messages and all that. So, can you advise us on how effectively we can network within this oil and gas industry? Because I think most of us don't know how to network here. So if you can clear that for us. Yeah.
All right. I pointed it out in my presentation where I said swim with the sharks and dig with the donkeys. Now, swimming with the sharks is referring to engaging with individuals who are ahead of you, and then horizontally are individuals who are just around your age group or within few years of experience as you. So when you find yourself in a workspace, more often, especially let's just take somebody who has come in to do a national service, and then he finds a young engineer who is probably just 2 or 3 years or 4 years in the job role, and they wouldn't want to engage with him because they feel like, oh, he's young, doesn't know much. So they will target the senior engineer or the senior manager because that's the one that will make the thing work out for. One of the things that I've come to realize is that oftentimes when you go into organizations, senior engineers or senior managers are busy with assignments, meetings, and they only have brief moments to advise you. And so the person who will actually teach you the job is the horizontal guy, the guy who is just 2 to 4 years experience, who has probably just been recently employed or is probably doing a contract job. That guy can build a good rapport. You can build a good rapport with that individual and engage him. This person has a lot more to teach you. And then when you have bigger questions to ask. When you go before a senior person, you are not now going to ask them, "Oh, boss, do you watch Manchester United?" And then no, that's not the course of the conversation. You should keep your communication as succinct as possible. When you meet them, you ask salient questions. There are questions that they ask you. Sometimes I used to have a general manager. When he sees you, he will ask you a question. Immediately he sees you, he will ask you a question. And if you fail the question on 2 occasions, he writes you off as an unserious fellow. And so you are always prepared such that anytime you are around them, you give that good aura, good personality, you have good conversations with them that can be carried along. Once in a while, you pass by their office, you say hi to them, you reach out to them. It should be a communication that is not you forcing yourself on them, but they can see you as a young person who is willing to learn. Oh, I discovered this, and you take it to them. They may not be able to help you because they are busy. They will say, oh, go to this individual, he will help you. By going to them and they redirecting you, they are actually opening more avenues for you to engage other people. And so we must as well engage with individuals who are ahead of us, as well as engaging with individuals who are within our reach. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Emmanuel Aqua is
Natalia,
okay.
Natalia, let me just add a bit to that.
All right,
So,
all right.
one thing I keep telling young engineers is that when you meet the people, when you at a network place or you get to a program, you meet senior people where you want to relate to them, you want to understand them, you want to know about their work. It's good to go with an open mindset that you want to understand, you want to learn. But people just come in and say, "Oh, okay." So for example, I meet you, Natalia, who is the CEO of Natalia Engineering Company, and I'm a young graduate. So, hi, Madam Natalia, my name is Anthony. So what do you do in your company? Like this is, what do you do in your company? Then you come and say, okay, so me too, I studied mechanical engineer, and then is it good? Would it be possible to get a job in your company? That's a straight away put off. So you don't come with conversations that way. You need to again apply your communication skills when you are networking with people. Make sure that you communicate properly. Make sure you articulate yourself well, as Engineer Daniel said, articulate straight and properly, and then don't go around asking questions that are put off. You understand me? So let's try in as much as possible to be discerning in our conversation, in our communication, in putting out ourselves towards people when we meet them, trying to network with them. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, engineers. I want us to deal with the questions in the chat box. Emmanuel is asking, is there any advice for a civil engineering and geotechnical engineering students with intention of going into the oil and gas field? And also Nathaniel is asking for an advice to a petrochemical engineer who wants to further into the petroleum industry. Engineer Paul, Engineer Ade, please, any advice for us?
I try to unmute all the time. So to Emmanuel Aqua, for civil engineer and geotechnical engineer, in my earlier presentation, you realize, as I said, it's open to literally all engineers. So it's not like we are always looking for chemical engineer or petroleum engineer or petrochemical engineers. It's open to everyone. Most of them, when companies are looking for engineers, it's open to engineers, because at the end of the day, they'll still train you in whatever is required within the industry. So you just make yourself available, look out for opportunities, and then go in there and get in for it. So you should just keep yourself open, and you'll be able to get into such opportunities. And then I'll leave it for Engineer Pont to respond to the other one from that's from Jonas. Is it from Jonas?
Yeah. I think the answer you gave can also be copied and pasted for this question, because it doesn't matter whether you studied petrochemical engineering or you are studying petroleum engineering. You can still work in whichever industry that you want to work in. So it's like I gave you in the initial presentation I did, I gave you outline to job hunting, and it didn't say that you must have a specific degree or so. No, once you have a relevant education, you are good to go. And relevant education involves education around the oil and gas, or even depending on, for example, I gave you a spectrum of roles that are available. And so the thing is that I've seen individuals with diverse sort of backgrounds and in roles that you cannot even fathom. Like, how did this person from this background end up in this place? That's why I keep telling you that it's a dynamic workspace where it's not tied to one particular degree. Your degree is a master key, and you choose how you use it to open any door you want. Thank you.
Okay,
Hello,
thank you very
Natalia.
much. Yes, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so let me ask this one question. Let's see from here. You see, okay, so how is the push toward renewable energy and sustainability affecting traditional oil and gas carriers? Now we have green, yeah, so like renewable energy, how is it affecting our traditional oil and gas industry? Let me ask it like that.
All right,
Okay.
so,
Engineer, are you going first?
I mean, you can go first. Don't worry, you go.
Okay, thank you very much. I gave an example of how I have worked with 3 different crude heaters. One that was designed in 1980, one that was designed in 2016, and one that was designed in 2018. As the one that was designed in 1980 is not environmentally friendly, and so the carbon emission is not being metered, and it just emits out. The one that I work with recently it has a carbon monitoring, and it has like a CCU, a carbon capture system within it that captures the carbon so that it doesn't allow the CO to that's the carbon monoxide to go into the atmosphere. Designs are coming in place to augment the way we do work, and so the base skill still exists. But then this added on development like the CCUS is now bringing us new frontiers, like new ways of doing work. So you just develop yourself towards those angles. Now, when it comes to work dynamics, it's not like everything is going to totally become sustainability inclined. However, it is always going to be embedded in the work where we are in check for how sustainable our work is, especially to the environment. So it means that depending on your job, even if you are working as a legal officer for a law firm, you'll be asked to assess the legal implication of environmental risk, the environmental risks that this oil and gas activity poses, but you are working in the legal department. I have given you an example of operations person having, or let's say if you're a design engineer, to design a carbon capture system. All of these things are now coming up and are being embedded in the system. So it's just like the way AI is coming, and then we are learning how to use it. The same way these new sustainability systems are coming into our workspace, and then we are learning how to integrate with our workspace. So if you are coming from outside in, you abreast yourself with the latest industry trends, the new solutions that are coming in. There's a lot of carbon footprint monitoring ongoing that you must abreast yourself how to calculate a carbon footprint for an organization, because you can be an engineer, and then as part of your role, you'll be asked to calculate how much carbon is being emitted from the particular equipment that you are using. Considering that if, let's say, it's a either on the oil rig or probably in the refinery or in a storage facility. All of these things are now becoming embedded. And so it's not totally like taking the industry away from its original focus, but then it is coming to add on and improve the way we do things. Thank you, Ms. Engineer D. You can supplement.
All right, thanks so much, Angel. So, what I was gonna say is that so I've worked on geothermal projects, which is a renewable energy system, and literally all the team I use for oil and gas are the same team I use for this geothermal project because you still need to drill down to the earth crust and then produce steam and then run it through turbine to generate electricity. So we still have literally the same workforce for this. And then carbon footprint, we always try to reduce carbon footprint. All companies are trying to reduce carbon footprint. But in the same way, we'll be having renewable energy, but the traditional oil and gas will still keep running as well because not all, for instance, we have a couple of Tesla cars, electric cars on the market, but they are not as much as vehicles using gas and diesel. So we'll still keep doing both together at the same time. And then as time goes on, the world will determine how things go. But for now, let's not be shaken. Let's keep focused on whatever we are doing. Thanks, Natalia.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll ask this last but one question. So how important is international certification versus our local qualifications when starting a career in our industry?
Elaborate on what you mean. Give me an example of your international and then local.
Okay. For instance, someone schooling
You have-
abroad or
See, I always tell you that, not you, I always tell my friends and people that we have one of the
Okay.
best educational systems, right? And it depends on you, the individual. Do you need to, are you looking at, okay, so let's say Natalia has done her degree in US and I have done my in Kwame Nkrumah and Sapon. So that means that you are better off than me. No, you are not better off than me. We've all done the same degree in, for argument's sake, let's use the man who spoke about, so we all did civil engineering. You did civil engineering in Hills University, and I also did civil engineering in KNUST. So we all did civil engineering. It might be a bit more recognized out there because assuming you want to go in school out there or something, you might have to, that's a different ball game. But talking of professionalism, it's just, it's work. You get your job, they take you on your job, and that's it. So you need to focus on your focus on your education in Ghana. If you get the opportunity to go and do it outside, hurry, and know that you still get a job. It's just that the job market, the only disadvantage or problem here is that the job market in Ghana is a bit difficult based on the level of oil production we have. Whereas you go to country like US, because they have a lot of vast system in the energy sector, you might be probably privy to get job quicker and earlier than someone who's stayed in Ghana to do his degree or do his schooling there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. Engineer Fund, do you have something to add?
Just to add, it's I work with an international team, and some of my colleagues come from India, Pakistan, Egypt, and Nigeria. But none of us have actually schooled in Europe. We've all schooled in our respective countries. Oftentimes, I get mesmerized when I sit and we are discussing work, and this guy from India or the other guy from Egypt or Pakistan or Nigeria, we are saying the same thing. So I remember one time one Egyptian cracked a joke that pie is pie in Ghana, is pie in Egypt, is pie in Pakistan, or pie in India. So pi does not change from 3.14 to another figure simply because it is from another country. And so when you talk about education, that's how you should look at it.
All right. Thank you very much, engineers. Okay, so I'll ask my last question. What advice would you give to
Natalie, your line is breaking.
young
We can barely
Ghanaians
hear you.
who are concerned about the industry long? Okay. Please, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, please go
Okay,
ahead.
so I'll take it again. What advice would you give to young Ghanaians who are passionate about energy but are concerned about the industry's long-term viability?
I'm also just laughing. Hey,
Most
Matao,
of Ghanaians are passionate but uncertain about the
Asemu. It's like politics, my sister. So if you become MP today, you lose your seat tomorrow. Say you go and eat Gary and Kose at home. You go back to whatever you are doing. If you so you see, you need to be positive, right? And you should know that change is the only constant in life, and anything could happen. Even if you say you are going into teaching field, you feel okay, teaching field is well guaranteed. Well, it could be. You could say nursing field is well guaranteed. It could be, but you should know that and there are uncertainties. Anything can happen in the occupation. Anything can happen anywhere. So you need to be more positive, articulate yourself, and pitch yourself out there because you know. So Dan and I, we are not in Ghana currently. I take our projects outside the country. Dan is also working outside the country. So it depends on how you start, how you pitch yourself, how you are hardworking. So my advice is, see, if you want to join this industry, make up your mind, be positive about it, join, and as soon as you join, make sure you put out your best because the industry doesn't work with lazy, lousy people. So you need to put up your best, and then there's someone out there who is also watching you, seeing your output, and there are some job opportunities out there which are looking out for you, and they will come running after you, which you just catapult you out of the country to a better place, to a better paying place, to a better location, and you are just well to do, better off. And you can even be in Ghana there, get a better role in Ghana there, in even a different sector, because Engineer Pong has elaborated the Petroleum Commission can call you that we want you to be a consultant for us, and you'll be there. GMPC will call you, even Talo will call you. So you see, just make sure that you work well, hardworking, articulate yourself well, pitch yourself, and you are there. Engineer Pong.
Okay. Um, if you, I think I was reading about Saudi Arabia's 50-year plan and then Dubai's 50-year plan. While they still have renewable in focus, they are still having oil as fossil fuel as one of their key energy supplier, like supply to the energy for the next 20 years. But then they are looking at ways of mitigating the side effect of using fossil fuels. So I still think that the oil industry is still very viable, at least in the next 25 years, that I can guarantee. After 25 years, maybe, usually it all depends on how best prepared the world is for total non-reliance on fossil fuels. And that total non-reliance, averagely in the West, they gave 2050. We are in 2025, so 25 years to go. And Ghana says 2075. So we still have 50 years to go. So that should give you an idea that there's still prospects for you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, engineers. Okay, so I've seen one question in the chat box. Nathaniel is asking, what are the things that make you stand out as an in what you can do? So engineers, kindly, you also have your final thoughts as well.
Hello, Natalia. I
Yes.
had muted myself, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Okay, that was the last slide on my presentation, and I spoke about 5 key areas where you can develop yourself to stand out, which is being analytical in your thinking, which is an aspect of critical thinking, where you are not only just absorbing information, but you can relate with the information. You can be able to understand ideas that are not necessarily given or spoken to you within the work context. You can be, that is to say, you can be able to deduce information. You can be able to break down big ideas into smaller ideas. That's how analytical thinking works. And you are that individual that, despite every challenging or any challenging role that you face, you are still able to have that mental grit to stay put and do the work and find solution. Oftentimes, even within the workspace, there are a lot of regulations that can restrict you even within your own space as an operations supervisor. Oftentimes, when I'm trying to perform some operations, HSC will come and stop you. Maintenance will come here. So I am able to navigate all of these individuals and still able to achieve my goal of maybe carrying out that process operation. And so you must be resilient, flexible, you must be agile, ready to jump on any new skill and new role that presents itself as relevant to your job. And then you have that personal leadership, you have that social influence with a social voice around a thematic area within your workspace, and you are able to integrate technology into your work as well as understand how technology is being integrated into your work. And you have that ability to regulate your own emotions. These are the 5 areas that, if you are able to hone them over time, you stand out from your peers. Engineer Day.
Sorry, I actually missed the question because I've been put into a call in the office.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been put into a call in the office. So apologies on this.
All right. The individual was asking for top skills that they can focus on to become the best or stand out among their peers.
So top skills. So again, it boils down to the requirements of the job and what skills are we looking at? We have to look at first top skills I would look at as an individual is soft skills. Those are emotional intelligence, teamwork, being able to apply teamwork, because I know that possibly you might not have a lot of experience on operations, but you need to exhibit, your emotional intelligence exhibits, like working as a team, your communication skills. These are very high skills that that are in high demand that we need for in people, because people could be the smartest people you have, but they are not assertive in their communication. So this would take you far. I hope that helps. Sorry, let me just close my office door because I have a couple of colleagues making
Okay.
noise here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, that was wonderful. I think my audience have very enjoyed the session very much, and then we'll move from here from the cross questioning. I think there is a link in the chat box in case there is a link in the chat box, so kindly help us and then complete the form for us. Complete the form for us. Okay. Yeah, so our feedback survey. Kindly fill the forms for us. There is a link in the chat box. Okay, so up next is managing industrial asset for sustainability. So you can tune in for that. And then we'll have our last session, that's the vote of thanks. And to do as the honor, we will invite Engineer Stephen Foucault. Engineer Stephen, please, if you can hear me, kindly take over.
All right, Natalia, thank you so much. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Can I
can.
be
Yes, we
heard?
can hear.
Can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon, my time to everyone, distinguished participants and esteemed speakers. We are currently drawing today's session to an end, and I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone that has made this session a success. Thank you to Engineer Ade for responding to our call when we called on you. I think it was quite a short notice, but you responded to us warmly, and then you have made this session a success. Thank you, Engineer Okong, for your insightful contribution to this session and all the contributions you have been making to the Career Guide session. We are super, super grateful. To our participants, we are so grateful for always being here to listen to us and also contribute to whatever topic that we bring on board. The technical team, we are grateful for your diligent work that you have done to ensure that there's a seamless connectivity and also you've had a smooth webinar experience. Thank you to all the graduates and the career changers and all the professionals that are looking forward to advance their career in the energy industry. We are hoping that today's session is going to provide you with a clearer direction and actionable steps for your career journey. Remember that Ghana's oil and gas sector is a continuously evolving sector, and then it is going to present new opportunities for skills and dedicated professionals. So please, let's help continue to promote our webinars anytime we are to post them. We are continuously going to post on our various platforms and our social media. So if you see our webinars and our flyers, kindly help post it, and then you'll be able to reach a larger audience. To conclude, I would like to encourage us all to stay connected. Let's continue on networking and pursue opportunities as we have discussed today, because Ghana's oil and gas industry needs talents and committed professionals. As many of you that are going to well position yourself, we are going to all enjoy the fruits of our labor. Thank you all, and we'll see you in our next webinar.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Stephen. So see you again next time. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.